And happy Friday, September 9th, 2022, and welcome to a Cobra Kai Season 5 premiere Friday edition of what we like to call the Clash of the Champions. I am your host, the vegan you believe in, Kurt Cadet, in the flesh as always, and he is...
This is none other than his tag team partner, none other than JR himself, Jonathan Randall, your life of the party. And ladies and gentlemen, oh my God, we just had a crazy, amazing week of wrestling, but none other than what we had experienced this past weekend. And from top to bottom, man, we had good shows, controversial news, all wrapped in one, man. And Kurt, you and I, it's time to get down. It's time to address the people, to address what's been going on. And we're going to go international. We're going to go overseas. My God, we had a great, amazing Clash at the Castle pay per view, did we not?
Oh, yes, it was one of the best pay per views of the year. The WWE's first time doing a stadium
Absolutely.
show in the UK since 1992 SummerSlam. And yes, it was a great show, but in all honesty, for as much great wrestling as we got over the weekend, we came out of the weekend with the biggest story being the post AEW All Out press conference, which involved the epic meltdown of one CM Punk.
Yeah, and that's something with that, with the all in pay per view, and even after the pay per view, it was just again, like I said earlier, it was controversy that happened even at AEW Dynamite, which we'll get into later. And Kurt, I have questions concerning about CM Punk now, reflecting on what has transpired over the past few days. But in the meantime, we did had a great pay per view. We had a great Clash of the Castle in Wales of the United Kingdom, and starting off with that event, we had a six-woman tag team match between Damage Control of the team of Bailey, Dakota Kai, Io Sky, against Bianca Belair, Alexa Bliss, and Asuka.
Yes, I expected them to open the show with this match. Wasn't surprised, but it was a pretty fun match. But ultimately, the result that I predicted ended up happening as Damage Control ended up winning the match following Bailey hitting Bianca with her finisher, Io Sky hitting her with the moonsault, and then Bailey getting the pin on the Raw Women's Champion.
It took three. It took three, a team unit of those three to take out Bianca, and it was just amazing to me that Bailey, she got the pinfall over Bianca. And when I saw that, it shows to me that okay, I think later down the road, Bailey's going to be the next one, be the next contender for her title.
Yeah, I figured they were going to go in that direction at some point when this whole thing first started. So I have no problem with it. But the one thing that was dope during this match was the crowd bringing back the old school Bailey chants from back in the day. Because like back when NXT and like when Bailey first got to the main roster, like in 2015, 2016, when they would do shows in England, they would do this chant. Bailey, ooh, I want to know if you would be my girl. Yeah, they would do that shit like for like 5 minutes straight, and then they brought that back during the match on Saturday. But she tried to play it down and try to act heelish and try to act like she wasn't trying to hear it. But I'm sure deep down she was loving that shit.
And you know what? It's funny how you mentioned the fans because they were pretty much just crazy throughout the whole night, and it felt like mainly when it came to the big matches, the fans played a big part of this whole event. That's one of the reasons why I love this event. Is one of the reasons why I think this is probably the best pay per view so far this year. Yeah, the crowd was just hectic, and they had a right to be. The crowd in England has a very good, deep wrestling fan base. Very passionate about their wrestling, and rightfully so. So, on to the next match. Kurt, you said this was going to be the best match of the night, and you know what? Honestly, I think it was, man. This match really took me by surprise, and intercontinental title match between Gunther and Sheamus, and oh my god, it was amazing. Absolutely amazing match, and we predicted what was going to happen. Gunther retains his title, and after the match, I loved how the crowd gave Sheamus a standing ovation. They were pretty much behind him, throughout the whole entire match because I mean he's from Scotland and no, I'm sorry, he's from Ireland, and of course, there are in Europe, and this is not a surprise, but oh my god, it was a damn good match.
Yeah, and I said it last week on the show that these two were literally going to beat the fuck out of each other.
And they
Let's just
did.
say, yeah, basically they did not disappoint. You saw Sheamus's chest as that match went on.
Yes.
I mean, Gunther got it too,
Yes.
but yeah, you saw Sheamus's chest throughout that match, and you cannot like doubt this dude's effort and doubt this dude's commitment to the craft. It was real.
I'm sorry. The one thing I love about this match is how they went back and forth. You have two big men in there. They just went back and forth, and it was pretty much like a test of strength when you look at it throughout the match because Sheamus was trying to get his patented, where he has his opponent outside the ring and he does his arm chops to the man's chest, and a couple times in the match he had a hard time doing it, but the third time he was finally able to get it done. But it was pretty much like a test of strength between two wrestlers, and it was just absolutely amazing match. And the fact that it was for the Intercontinental title, as you pointed out over the past couple of weeks, it makes the title more of a prestigious title how it once was in the past.
Yes, and also I liked how Gunther won the match at the end with the lariat. I wasn't expecting him to win that way,
Yeah, yeah,
but
yeah.
yeah, and he clobbered the shit out of him when he hit him with that too.
You did.
Yes, Gunther
You did.
retained, and also we
Oh,
saw
and
the reuniting of Imperium, his group that he had in NXT.
I forgot to mention that. Yeah, that was neat to see that, and I was happy to see that. I know the crowd was happy to see that too. That was a surprise, and once again, Triple H have something up his sleeve, pretty much doing things his way and making changes, and it was great to see Imperium again.
Yes, I like this tweet I saw online about this match where this one person was talking about watching the match with their mother, and their mother watched the match and said to her son, "Isn't this supposed to be fake?" Yeah, because you cannot watch that match and say that wrestling is fake.
No, when you look at the marks on their bodies, you look at the marks on Sheamus's chest. That shows you it. It's not ballet, as Jim Ross always points out when it comes to wrestling. It's not ballet.
Yeah, if there were ever any match I would show to anybody who like never watched wrestling before in their life and they didn't know anything about it, that would definitely be one of them I would show.
I love the standing ovation that Sheamus got from the crowd after the match. I love that.
Yeah, you could tell he got emotional from it too.
Of course. If you're in your home continent and you put on a great performance, whether if you win or you lose, that is something to be proud of. And I was really like pleased to see that.
Yes, and going to retain his championship, and I'm looking forward to seeing who his next challenger is going to be. And hell, I would love to see them even do this match again in Extreme Rules. I would not mind that.
I don't want money either.
Yes, so on to the next match. We had Liv Morgan defending the SmackDown Women's Championship against Shayna Baszler.
Yeah, this was a decent match. I liked it, and um, Shayna Blazer, the technician that she is, she went after the arm of Liv Morgan as she should, and it looked like Shayna was going to get the victory. She pretty much dominated and controlled majority of the match, but surprisingly, Liv Morgan got the pinfall victory over her.
With her Oblivion finisher, and yes, I kind of figured that Liv would retain
Yeah,
somehow,
we
but
did. Yeah, we both said
I didn't expect her to win like so cleanly the way she did. But it is what it is.
she needed to because I honestly would not like to see her win controversially, just like she did at SummerSlam. I think, and I said this before as a champion, you need to come off strong if you're going to retain your title, especially if you're a babyface champion. If you're a babyface champion, if you're winning not strongly and winning controversially, it says negatively about you as a champion. So the fact that she won cleanly, I look at things differently now in a positive way.
Yeah, but I don't honestly. I'm happy that she retained and she's gonna hold on to the belt for a little longer. But If they're doing this Raw versus SmackDown thing at Survivor Series, I don't see her holding it by then.
No, and I think honestly, when after I watch this match, I think Shayna Baszler needs to win the title.
Nah, I don't think it's gonna happen. I think either Charlotte or Ronda's getting it sooner or later.
So you're saying pretty much like the end of the year, towards the beginning of next year.
By the end of the year, either Charlotte or Ronda is gonna have that belt.
Hmm. I just want to see Shayna win that belt though sometime in the future. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that'd be great, and it could still happen down the road. But I think as far as like this time frame goes, it's either gonna be Charlotte whenever she comes back, or it's gonna be Ronda, one or the other.
Okay.
But more than likely Ronda if I had to bet.
Right. And for our on to the next match, we had a tag team match between the team of Edge and Rey Mysterio versus Judgment Day, the team of Finn Balor and Damian Priest, with Rhea Ripley in a corner. And Dominic Mysterio also in the corner, Edge and Rey Mysterio. And may I remind you, ladies and gentlemen, over the past couple of weeks, Dominic Mysterio has been a little bit jealous due to the fact that Rey Mysterio picked Edge over him to be his tag team partner. And surprisingly, in this match, Edge and Mysterio got the win.
With the help of Dominic.
Yeah, with the help of Dominic. But this was a weird. I saw this as a weird transition because the biggest story is what happened after the match. As Edge and Mysterio is celebrating, Dominic Mysterio pretty much low blow kicks Edge. And then he clotheslined his own father, Rey Mysterio. Pretty much as we predicted, Dominic Mysterio has finally turned heel. But Kurt, as I look back at this whole scenario, it was a little bit weird. You help Edge and Mysterio get the victory, but yet you turn heel in the process. I just thought how the way they planned it and how they did it was kind of like odd to me.
Personally, I liked how it was done. I feel like how he helped Edge and Ray win. They were, I guess, like maybe showing enough appreciation to him, and also he still resented the fact that they didn't pick him to be the partner. And by him helping them win, he showed like how valuable he was, and it was kind of like a message to them. And basically had enough. And I like the fact that they did it after the match, despite the fact that it sucks that Judgment Day lost again. I liked how they did it like after the match where like you didn't see it coming, where you weren't expecting it to happen the exact way that it happened. That's what I really enjoyed the most out of the whole scenario.
I kind of see what you're saying though, but it just like it kind of it's just like it was odd to me because like okay, you helped them win, but yeah, you're gonna still make your point that you should have been picked. It makes a little more sense if they would have lost and didn't do it, because if you would have lose, you would have shown that okay, you picked me, we would have not have lost the match. I understand about him, turning heel after the match, which I knew what was gonna happen. I knew it was gonna happen, but it was just weird how like you helped them win, but yet you're showing like a test of strength of like, okay, I'm still gonna turn on you guys because you guys should have picked me, even though I guys helped you. Versus where if you would have lost, I'm still gonna turn on you guys, and it goes to show you that you guys should have picked me. It was just kind of weird how they did it, honestly.
I guess maybe from that perspective, but overall, I liked how the heel turn was done,
Yeah, yeah, absolutely.
especially how he clotheslined Ray. Damn.
Yeah,
And that was a
yeah,
throwback to when Eddie turned on Ray all those years ago back in '05.
yeah. And if you notice how when Dominic was like on the apron on the ring before he got out of the ring, he kind of had that pose where he just had that silent pose that kind of reflected what Eddie he did. He did the same thing what Eddie did. If you remember,
I didn't really catch that part, no, but I did catch Raw Monday where he ended up coming out with like all blacked out and everything with new hairstyle, and he came out with Rhea Ripley and Judgment Day. Because like initially when he turned on Ray and Edge, he didn't leave with Judgment Day. He just left on his own, while Judgment Day sat back laughing at it, which was kind of funny to see. Yeah, he basically came out with Rhea and Judgment Day, so he's officially a part of their crew. But like now, everybody's comparing Rhea Ripley and Dominic Mysterio to Eddie Guerrero and China. Like if you've seen all the memes,
yeah, I've seen that, and it's pretty hilarious. I'm just curious about hopefully this heel turn is gonna what is it gonna do and benefit for Dominic. I hope this is going to work out for him later in his future because, as for most wrestlers, have we seen in the past, when you turn heel, that's going to help you and benefit you more down your career.
Well, it's an extra big test for him because of the fact that
It is.
he's not with his
It
dad
is.
anymore. He's now on his own.
Yeah, and then the fact that you're a heel now, that plays a bigger part. It's different if you're a baby face and he didn't have his dad on his side, but the fact that he's a heel, that plays a bigger part now.
Yeah, it's a very sink or swim moment for the dude.
It is. I just hope for the best for him. I believe that he could get it done. I'm just very curious on how they're gonna do it. So I can see it.
Yeah, only time will tell. But let's move on to the next match. And one of the most anticipated matches on the show, we had Seth Rollins against Matt Riddle.
Oh my god. Finally, we got the match that we wanted, and we got a good match that we deserved because it was a good match. I tell you, dude, I thought Matt Riddle was gonna win. And let's be honest, Matt Riddle pretty much he was the aggressor in the match, which of no surprise, especially of the segment that they had last Monday on Raw. But surprisingly, man, Seth Rollins got the victory, and and I love the finish. I love the finish. I loved how Matt Riddle had he was about to hit Rollins with the steel chair outside of the ring. He gets into the ring, and Rollins hits him with the curb stomp, and then he does another curb stomp from the top rope to end the match. And I noticed there was like a big knot on Riddle's forehead. If you've seen that, I know everybody else seen that though. But I love this match. I love the counters. I love this. It was just a great wrestling match. I really thought Matt Riddle was going to get the win, but another point to add on to this match, Rollins finally got a win in a pay per view, first time in like a few months.
I think it was his first singles win at a pay per view since I think Hell in a Cell last year against Cesaro.
Uh,
Yeah, but it was definitely a fun match. That they definitely both delivered, and I like the intensity and the chemistry between the two of them. And definitely from watching this match, I am more than eager to see a rematch.
Same here, and I think Extreme Rules will be the perfect place to do it. Also, as we were alluding to earlier, we are talking about the crowd, and that crowd was pretty much singing the Seth Rollins chants for his theme song pretty much throughout the whole match, and I love that.
Yeah, it was great. I wasn't expecting it, but yeah, they were definitely a huge part of why that match was so fun and why that whole show was so fun.
Yeah, they're pretty much like a huge part of the show in general. I love the crowd, man, and I love the match. I really thought Rollins, I'm sorry, I thought Riddle's gonna win, but I don't think it's quite over yet. Maybe, hopefully, most likely we'll see a rematch for Extreme Rules. So if it does, I'll be more than happy to see that.
Yes, I would be too. So on to the main events. We had Roman Reigns defending his undisputed Universal Championship or whatever the fuck they call it now against the home continent hero Drew McIntyre.
Oh man, I think that's well said. But but anyway, another great match.
But before the match started, well, before Drew's entrance, actually, they played his old Broken Dreams theme song, and it like showed like a collage of like all the different highlights of his career before he eventually did come out.
Loved it.
It was great, but I
Loved it.
kind of thought he was actually gonna come out to that song. But I'm still happy they played it nonetheless.
Oh, I loved it regardless. I loved it. It made you believe that, oh my God, I think Drew's gonna win. I think this is gonna be his night.
I have to be honest. I know with the setting you thought that, but just when he came out, like when he came out and made his entrance, I was just saying to myself, like deep down, I don't know if he's gonna win.
Why?
That was just coming over me. I don't know what it was because I kind of have those feelings when it comes to the big matches. Like for instance, at WrestleMania, like when Bianca came out for her entrance, I just said to myself, "She is winning. She is definitely winning." And I ended up being right. And in this scenario, like when Drew came out, I just said to myself, "I don't know if he's gonna win."
So it's just that with that it's just this gut feelings pretty much.
Something like that.
Okay.
And then Roman came out by himself without any members of the bloodline, and Paul Heyman, nobody.
That was the first, and that was a test, and that was very interesting to see because he's always with the bloodline and also with Paul Heyman. But for the first time in his title defense, he was alone.
Well, actually, he at the Royal Rumble, he didn't come out with any of them.
Oh wait, yeah, 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 yeah.
Yeah, but in
Right.
any event, these dudes went 30 minutes. It was a hard hitting, good ass match, which I was not expecting any less from these two.
And they took their time with each other, and I like that. They took their time. They went slow. They didn't go fast paced or anything like that. They took their time, and the intensity of the match it increased. The longer it went, the more intense the match got. May I remind you, in last week's episode, I was fearful that Karrion Cross was going to interfere. He did not, but he was at that event watching the match. He did was about to get into it with Drew when they're outside of the ring, but he didn't interfere, surprisingly. But another surprising thing happened. As both men were down, Austin Theory comes out and wanted to make a surprise appearance and wanted to cash in his money to bank briefcase. But before he even did that, United Kingdom's own Tyson Fury knocks him out, causing him not to cash in the contract. I loved how before that even happened, I loved how the first referee got knocked out, and that caused like a lot of controversy in those matches. I love seeing that in those type of matches. But anyway, second referee comes in. Drew hits Roman with the Claymore, and you're just thinking that it's over. This is going to be it. And as soon as the next referee is about to make the pinfall, somebody pulls a referee from under the ring, causing a distraction. We don't know who it is. Somebody's in this hoodie, and it's revealed that it's Solo Sequoia, the younger brother of the Usos. Wow.
Yeah, so then Solo interfered, and then Drew was distracted by him, and then Solo stun gun Drew's throw it onto the top rope, and then Roman ended up hitting Drew with the spear, got the pin, and retained his championship. Shockingly, very shockingly.
Yeah. I wasn't expect. I mean, I think that. I mean, when you look at it, there's two scenarios. There's two stories that I look after this match. Number one, nice way to debut Solo. That is a nice way to make your debut. I don't know. I didn't expect him to make his debut, but I kind of figured that would be the perfect way to do it, and that was the good way to do it. Number two, I'm a little bit heartbroken that Drew lost. I really thought due to the fact that it's the first time in 30 years that they had a stadium event pay per view in England, in Europe. I'm sorry. I thought that this was going to be Drew's moment. This was going to be a heartfelt homecoming moment, a genuine moment that he needed. But unfortunately, it didn't happen. And I'm kind of, as a wrestling fan, I felt like I haven't felt this in a long time, Kurt. I felt bad, and I haven't felt that in a long time.
Yeah, it was a bit of a disappointing feeling, especially considering that Roman has been the champion for so long, and it was in Drew's home continent in a big stadium, and you figured like he's gonna get the moment that he didn't get at WrestleMania 2 years ago. So yeah, like it felt like all signs were to Drew having this big moment, and when it didn't happen, it kind of did feel like a letdown in a sense. And you're like saying to yourself, after all that, after everything that went down and after everything looked like it was perfect for Drew to become the champion and have that big moment, it ended up not working out that way. But like I said before, like I kind of had that feeling beforehand, like when he came out, that he probably wasn't going to win because as good as it would have been to see Drew win the title on that night and to have that moment, where exactly do you go after that?
For Drew,
Yeah.
simple. Carrying cross. Simple.
Yeah, that's fine and all, but it's just, do you really have that same level of interest for that match as compared to something like Roman would be involved in?
No, it does. No, it does create that more of the interest. Okay, because you got to look at what Karrion Cross has been. He's pretty much has been like been poking the bear. so to speak. And for carrying cross, you got to look at it. Let's not just put the whole thing on Drew. Okay, let's let's also include carrying cross. This is going to be a good scenario moving forward to put him into like a bigger spotlight. You put him in a feud with a top baby face like Drew. This is going to be good for Carrion, and it's going to work both ways.
I'll admit, I'm not a fan of part-time people being the champion, and and I feel like maybe in a way, Roman's reign is kind of maybe starting to overstay its welcome a little bit. But I have to be honest, there's more interest, at least from my perspective, and I know a lot of people will agree with me, with Roman as the top guy with the belts, as opposed to somebody else right now. And Drew's great in everything. Drew's great in everything, but long term, I don't have that same interest with him being the champion as opposed to Roman.
I mean, but sooner or later, man, it's gonna. I mean, it's gonna have to end somehow. And I've been there's been a question that's been ringing out in my head over the past couple of days. I wanted to ask you this: since Roman retained his title at Clash of the Castle, okay, it is so very apparent that he's gonna keep the title till WrestleMania, right? So my question is for you: this hasn't really been done in a long time. How I'm writing this out, it's kind of good if they were to do it. But do you think potentially? Do you think that Roman Reigns could wrestle both nights at WrestleMania, where he could defend his title the first night against Cody, right, and then wrestle again the second night against The Rock?
It could happen. But yeah, basically, after Roman retained on Saturday, I just said to myself, the only person I could see beating him now is Cody. There's no other scenario where it would work
Right,
better than Cody. If you're not going to do it with Drew
right.
in his home continent and that kind of setting, if you're not going to do it with him, Cody's the only other logical person to do it.
That he's the only one because I don't see anybody else. I mean, they could easily do a feud between Roman and Bobby Lashley. I would love to see that. That was something I wanted to see a few months ago. But they could do it now moving forward. He's not going to be the guy to take
Title from
Roman's title. But if you want to talk about the guy to do it, it's Cody.
Yeah, there's no other better scenario than that. But I will say I just do feel for Drew because that was his best chance to get the title, and now that it didn't happen, I don't see him getting back to that spot anytime soon. And especially for what happened after the match.
Yeah, so as we saw throughout the show, Tyson Fury was talking to both Drew McIntyre and Roman Reigns separately, throughout the show. But Tyson Fury came into the ring after the match and he pretty much shook Roman's hand
Yes, he did.
out of respect. And and Roman leaves and he pretty much he picks up Drew and he literally just it was again it was another gesture of kind of like similar to Sheamus. It was pretty much the same thing what Drew is. He's pretty much like, hey, win or lose, we're all proud of you. And that was good to
Yeah.
see. That kind of like that cheered me up. That kind of like, you know what, I feel better a little bit now. And they had a sing along with the crowd, and that was a good way to end the show.
No, it wasn't. No, it wasn't.
You didn't think that was good?
Maybe if they didn't air it live and they just had it for the crowd after the show, they went off the air fine. But Drew just lost the championship match in his home continent in front of 60,000 fans by outside interference, and he's freaking doing a sing along karaoke shit after the match as if nothing happened. Are you fucking serious?
Okay.
Good ending my ass, bro. That shit reeked of Lex Luger at SummerSlam '93. But at least Lex Luger won that match. Even if he did look stupid in the celebration process too, at least he won.
Oh my god.
Just from a logical storytelling perspective, like if I lost the championship match under those circumstances, I would not be doing a sing along after the match.
Okay, so take out all right, so take out the sing along, but just
Fuck out of
Tyson
here.
Fury just telling him, hey, your country's so proud of you. Do you like that part.
If he just raised his hand and yeah did that, that's fine, cool, whatever. I
Okay.
get it. I get why they did it to send the crowd home happy and all that, but just from a character standpoint and a storytelling standpoint, I did not like it.
Okay.
A lot of people feel exactly the same way as I do because that shit just did not seem logical at all, not even a little bit.
But overall, I love the show.
Yeah, it was a great show. And it was only 6 matches too. It didn't overstay its welcome. It was 3.5 hours long. Everything overall on the show was good. I would say like maybe the weakest part of the show was the SmackDown Women's Title match, although it wasn't bad. But overall, yes, everything on the show delivered.
And the crowd played a big part.
Yes, they did. And I hope they bring back another big time pay per view to the UK, and it's not in another 30 years.
You know, I wouldn't be surprised if it's next year.
It's very possible they did 62,000, I think 292 for this show.
They did.
Madness. And
Hmm.
speaking of madness, the weekend wasn't over yet. It's so crazy. This show came on freaking 1 in the afternoon.
Yeah.
I'm still getting used to watching Saturday night pay per views, and I'm doing Saturday afternoon pay per
Yeah.
views. Shit.
Oh.
Yes, but anyway, the weekend was not over. As the next day on Sunday, we had the When Worlds Collide show from NXT, which was also a pretty enjoyable show, which featured a great opening match between Carmelo Hayes and Ricochet. And yo, those dudes went ham.
Mm.
That was one of the best matches of the whole weekend, hands
I
down.
see. I praise Carmelo Hayes a lot, man, and um, I don't think not yet. Maybe next year. I hope to see him on the main roster.
It's very possible, especially after that
Mhm.
performance. And Ricochet still has it too. That's one thing I've liked about Triple H being in charge the last couple weeks is that Ricochet is getting a lot more TV time.
Good, and I'm happy to see that.
He doesn't need to be a champion. He doesn't need to win every single last match he's in, but he should at least be on the show regularly and have
Right.
regularly good matches. The biggest show on Sunday was AEW All Out, which featured a mystery person winning the Casino Royale ladder match to become the to get a guaranteed title shot anytime they want, whenever they want, kind of like their version of
Hmm.
Money in the Bank in a sense. Yeah, so a mystery person in a mask ended up getting the chip for the title shot, and we would find out who this person was at the end of the show, but we'll get into that in a few minutes. But also on this show, we had a great trios finals for the trios tag team championship between the Dark Order and the Elite, in which the Elite won. And yo, this match was great. This match was definitely one of the better matches of the night and also the whole weekend. But the Elite of Kenny Omega and the Bucks won the match and became the first ever trios tag team title champions, at least for the time being. And we also had a great tag team title match between Swerve Strickland and Keith Lee against the Acclaimed. And everybody was giving this match a lot of high praise. This match got a lot of high praise. The Acclaimed were one of the hottest acts the whole night. And it definitely told in how disappointed people were when they didn't win. And Keith Lee even said himself he wasn't used to getting booed like that
Oh,
ever in his career.
and I forgot they're in Chicago, correct?
Yeah, that shit threw him off. He wasn't expecting to get booed like that.
Wow.
But they're going to do the rematch at Arthur Ashe Stadium in 2 weeks, which should definitely be something to watch. Too bad I won't be here for it. And also on the show, Tony Storm won the interim AEW Women's Championship in a four-way match, which was also solid. But in one of the most disappointing parts of the show, Christian Cage and Jungle Boy only had a 1 minute match in which Christian Cage won after Luchasaurus attacked Jungle Boy before the match even started. But come to find out afterwards, Christian's arm is injured and it's going to require surgery and he's going to be out for a while. And that's why they had to do the match the way they did.
Hmm.
Damn shame. And then also, Chris Jericho and Bryan Danielson had another good match, but Jericho ended up ultimately winning with the Judas effect and also a little cheating on the side. And Sting, Miro, and Darby Allin defeated the House of Black. But what was very telling about afterwards in this match is what from reports from people in the arena was that Malachi Black, after the match was over, gave a hug to the other members of the House of Black and did a bow for the audience and blew a kiss. And come to find out, a couple of days later, he was granted his release from AEW.
Hmm.
Conditionary release, but there was stories coming out last week that he asked for his release, but it was denied. But apparently now it's been granted, and it's I think it's gonna be like a release where he's not allowed to wrestle anywhere else for a while.
What?
Yeah, it's gonna be kind of a release where like he had a non-compete clause in it.
That's serious.
But apparently, the reason why he asked for his release was because of some mental health issues, personal issues he's dealing with, and
Hmm.
it's not necessarily related to the creative aspect of AEW right now.
Okay.
Yeah, but wish him the best. Hope everything works out okay for him. Hope he gets or whatever issues he needs to get worked out, worked out. But I'm not gonna lie, I would not mind seeing him go back to WWE eventually.
Mm.
I mean, his wife's there. He never really got a fair shake on the main roster, so it would be cool if he eventually went back there at some point.
Yeah. Hopefully you see him again.
Yeah, but he was under a 5 year deal in AEW, or is under a 5 year deal. So yeah, I'm not sure like how long the non compete is, but I mean, I guess only time will tell. And in the main event, CM Punk once again became the AEW champion by beating John Moxley in a great match. But after the match, he was greeted by the winner of the Casino Royale ladder match, and the winner took his mask off and came out, and that person turned out to be none other than the returning MJF.
Yes. 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 God, I love that man. Ugh.
Yes, MJF returned, and it was fitting because he said in a promo a few months ago that the greatest trick that the devil ever played was convincing the world that he didn't exist. And then when he came back on Sunday, that's exactly what was said in the background before he came out. They even played an audio of a phone call between him and Tony Khan, like Tony Khan trying to talk him into coming back and offering him money and shit.
Yeah, after all that happened, he's finally back, and I love the promo that he did on a Dynamite.
Yes, but it was a nice return, so it set up a match down the road between CM Punk and MJF, but or so we thought, because after the show was over, the biggest story pretty much that came out of the whole weekend, even more than the amazing wrestling we saw through all three shows, was the post all out press conference in which CM Punk pretty much lashed out at all of his detractors and all the people he does not like and has issues with. And some of those people included the Young Bucks, Hangman Adam Page, also MJF, and his former best friend Colt Cabana.
Ugh.
So basically, this is how the press conference starts. CM Punk like asked like how many of you guys consider yourself to be journalists, and he's talking to this one specific journalist about like his career and like who he's worked with, and the guy mentions that he worked with Colt Cabana at some point, and then that's when CM Punk starts talking about Colt Cabana and about how they haven't been friends in a decade, and also that he shares a joint bank account with his mother. Also gets into like their whole legal issue and how they had like this whole lawsuit situation and how like he's paid Colt Cabana's bills multiple times and all this other shit. And then he also gets into the fact that people were spreading rumors that he got him fired from AEW and sent to Ring of Honor, and he was saying that was bullshit and that he doesn't want to have anything to do with the dude. Why would he give a fuck where he works? He also mentioned EVPs spreading lies to the media about him and spreading rumors about him to the media, and the EVPs he was referring to were the Young Bucks. And he went as far as to say that they couldn't even manage a target.
What?
Yeah, he went as far as to say like we have EVPs who couldn't even manage a target, leaking information out to the media about me, telling lies about me, and all this other bullshit.
I mean, it seems like Punk was just triggered, like because of the fact of Colt Cabana. When you think about it,
Yeah, no one even brought it up. He was the one who brought it up. No one else even brought it up. He did.
that's what I'm saying. Like, if you've like moved on and so we haven't talked in so many years, why are you still? The fact that you just talking about it, how you just brought it up, shows that you're not over it.
Yeah, but the big part of it was like the fact that all those stories were coming out over the last few weeks that he got Colt Cabana fired and that he was the reason why Colt Cabana got moved to Ring of Honor.
I understand. I understand. Like, yeah, I mean, and we don't know like the whole like backstory on that. I mean, but yeah, I mean, but the same, I don't know. It's
Yeah, but it wasn't over there. Like he didn't stop there. Yeah, he took a shot at the Young Bucks, talking shit about them, about like them spreading rumors about him, and then he gets into Hangman Adam Page, and this is like one of the quotes that stood out most from this whole thing, saying, "What did I ever do in this world to deserve an empty-headed dumb fuck like Hangman Adam Page to go out and on national television and go into business for himself?" Referring to the promo a few months ago in their build up to their match at Double or Nothing, where Hangman like said something in the promo that wasn't planned ahead of time and basically went into business for himself, and that's why Punk mentioned him in the promo a few weeks ago that I was talking about. So yeah, he goes into that. He goes into the shit Hangman said about like not taking advice from veterans and like called him out for that and saying, yeah, I dare you to say that to Terry Funk, saying, oh no, Mr. Funk, I don't need to listen to you. I know everything myself.
Mm, 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 mm.
Yeah, he was laying into him and Tony Khan sitting next to him this whole freaking time.
Yeah, 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 yeah. Yup. Yup. And it's funny that the camera wasn't really like it was just the camera was just mostly pointed on Punk. And I didn't realize that Tony Khan was with them until I saw a picture.
Yeah, like it felt like Tony Khan was like super uncomfortable the whole time. Like you could tell like he was like cringing a lot when Punk would be saying a lot of these things. And there was like one point where Punk also said that about Hangman Adam Page that you jeopardized the biggest money gate this company has ever done off of my back because you want to go into business for yourself. And yeah, he was like talking about how he has a business to run. Pretty much everybody was getting on Tony Khan's case for this, saying that like it's pretty much that CM Punk like I guess does what he wants and like pretty much answers to CM Punk as opposed to the other way around. But yeah, this whole thing, this whole meltdown, it just did not come off well at all. Like even what if what CM Punk was saying was true, I'm not saying what he was saying wasn't true, but just the way he came off and doing it like in that setting, he didn't come off well at all.
No, I always this is the question I wanted to ask you, and it was something I saw on social media. It's relating to what just happened, and it's also with the stuff that with Cole Cabana, his tenure with WWE. Do you think CM Punk is a cancer to professional wrestling?
I hate to say it, but in a way, yes. I feel like he has legit gripes with like the things he brings up and the things he stands for, but just his approach and the way he goes about it, it seems it does his causes more harm than good. And instead of like bringing attention to like the causes he's fighting for and the things he's standing up for, he just brings more attention to his behavior. That's the vibe I get.
Pretty much the stuff that he does outside the ring pretty much overshadows what he does in the ring a little bit.
It feels that way now because he had these problems. He had problems in WWE, and we gave him the benefit of the doubt. Like yes, because a lot of the things he brought up about them were true. But the fact that he's having these problems already in AEW, only 1 year in, after they've done pretty much everything for him, and they made him the champion. He only lost one match. He's been in a prominent position ever since he got there, and he's having problems still.
I know that's the thing that's the thing, and I remember you were telling the story about how when Punk left WWE, he pretty much he kind of like was stopped talking to a lot of people, and it was this immature for him to act that way. And yeah, that's a good thing you bring up with his current tenure with AEW is how you've been away from wrestling for like so long. You come back and they just given everything to you, and they make you the champion and all this stuff, and it's like you're still acting this way. It's like, dude, and you're older now, so it's like, what gives? It's like, what? I just don't understand.
And it's funny, another line he had during the press conference was throughout the whole meltdown, he was saying, I'm sorry, everybody, I'm just hurt. I'm just hurt. I'm tired. I'm cranky, and I work with fucking children. And I'm like, bro, you're not exactly acting mature yourself. I would say in general, he just comes off as very immature, also very petty, very, I guess, mad at the world is a good way to put it.
Why mad at the world? Just why though, man? Like if that's the case, so why are you doing what you're doing?
Yeah, like I'm sure he's made enough money where he's not struggling and he's not starving. He has a very pretty wife. He seems like he has a good life. He had a great year in AEW this whole first year going in and everything. And it's like after all that, bro, you're still finding things to be angry about. And after like a show in your hometown where you just won the championship, you do a post-show press conference, and that's what you did.
Yeah.
And like I said, I'm not saying what he said in the press conference wasn't true about the Young Bucks and Hangman and all that. I'm not saying that things aren't true, but just that setting and that place, you're not doing yourself any favors by doing that. Like, imagine if Roman Reigns behaved that way at the post press conference after Clash of the Castle. Imagine if Roman did that kind of shit.
And also, it's funny you brought that up. I like the press. I like the fact they did a press conference after the show. By the way, though, and that was a good press conference. So, but anyway, but yeah, that I get what you're saying.
Yeah, it's just an ugly scenario. It just didn't come off well at all, and it only got worse from there. As after CM Punk's rant, there was a confrontation in his dressing room afterwards where the Young Bucks and Kenny Omega apparently came knocking on his dressing room door, and there were stories even coming out that they kicked the door down and they got into this whole big fight, this whole big altercation where like a chair was thrown in Nick Jackson's head and he got knocked out from it. And CM Punk's trainer Ace Steel, who was also there, bit Kenny Omega in the whole melee, and there were like punches thrown. It went on for minutes and minutes, and the shit talking still continued even after the fighting was broken up. And yeah, it just got really ugly really fast.
Yeah, and after all that happened, I mean, are you surprised?
Yeah, because he did say like in the middle of the press conference, like if anybody has a problem with what I said, come and find me. And apparently that's
Oh
what the Young Bucks and
Lord,
Omega did.
yeah,
He said that shit in a public place like that and pretty much called them out, all most of them by literally by name. Like he
yeah,
was gonna have to face them sooner or later. If not that night at Dynamite Wednesday or the week after, yeah, it was bound to go down sooner or later.
yeah. And speaking of Dynamite, yeah, so due to that altercation from that night, Tony Khan pretty much suspended CM Punk and the Young Bucks and pretty much stripped them of their titles. So CM Punk is no longer,
Kenny Omega,
yeah.
Kenny Omega's too. And also coming out of the pay per view was found out that CM Punk was injured during the match with Moxley, and he could be out for 6 to 8 months as a result of that.
What gives? This is the second time. The second time, dude.
What a fucking disaster this all turned out to be.
He hurts himself in the first match against Moxley, then he hurts him. Oh God.
Who would have thought, like when CM Punk won the title at Double or Nothing a few months ago, that this would be the beginning of the end for him? Because it's been all
No,
downhill ever since.
no, never. No, I would never even think of. I never. It just it's surprising because you just. I was happy to see him win the title, and just to be there in person was just to be part of that event was great in that moment. But never in my wildest dreams will I ever think that this will be the beginning of the end of him.
Yeah, first he gets hurt, walks away for a few months. Then he comes back, does that promo where he mentions Hangman. Then those stories come out about him having heat backstage. And then he has the match with Moxley a week later where he loses the title in 3 minutes. Then he has the match with Moxley again where he wins the title, then has a meltdown afterwards at the fucking press conference, gets into it with the Young Bucks, a big altercation goes down, and he could possibly be out of the company for good.
Possibly.
It hasn't been made official yet.
Just
He wasn't at Dynamite obviously
I
on
know
Wednesday, and they also didn't mention
because he was suspended.
they didn't yeah they didn't mention on Dynamite Punk's name, Omega's name, or the Young Bucks name. Hell, they even edited them out of the opening video.
This whole thing is a fall of grace.
So mess, bro. And looking at all this shit going down, I think Cody saw all this coming, and that's why he decided to get out.
Oh, really?
It's very possible because actually, I was hearing stories a year before Cody even left that he had a strained relationship with the Bucks and with Omega to the point where they weren't even speaking to each other.
Wow.
I don't know for sure what happened, but it's possible maybe he was outnumbered by them and he kind of maybe felt forced out, and that the company itself was becoming something he didn't envision it becoming, and he just wanted to move on. It's very possible he could have, maybe dealt with the same issues that Punk is dealing with them.
It's a fall of grace, Kurt. Um, we don't know what's gonna happen, man. But like, I wouldn't be surprised if I hear that he's been released. And again, it's just like you said, man. Like, man? Why are you angry, dude?
But from what I understand, the way the locker room feels about the whole thing, as far as Punk goes, is 50-50. Like half the people there like him, and half the people there don't like him and don't want him to come back. But
Yeah.
If he does come back, they're saying that he's gonna have to like really change his attitude. He's gonna really have to chill the fuck out.
Yeah, I mean, it's the same thing with with Jeff Hardy. Tony Khan pretty much is like, no, like you need to change, and I think that's one of the things that I like about Tony Khan. Like he draws that line where like you can't be effing up no more. If you want to do this, you're gonna have to do things my way. If not, you're not welcome back.
I'm happy he handed out suspensions. I'm happy that he suspended everybody for what went down because Eddie Kingston got suspended a few weeks ago for much less. And for all this shit to go down, and for a chair to get thrown, and for somebody to get bitten, some shit had to be done about this. And that A Steel dude is probably gone from AEW too.
He is. I read a report on that. He is because I think he was part of that altercation as well too, though. But yeah,
He bit Kenny Omega, and apparently he threw a chair at Nick Jackson and knocked him out.
Jesus.
Fucking A, man. Yeah, but and it's funny. CM Punk actually said when he one of the things that swayed him to come to AEW was the locker room environment.
Hmm.
He kind of felt like there was like a unity in the locker room that he didn't see in other places, and so that's what made him
Oh,
want to go there.
okay.
And what a
Well,
difference a year makes.
right.
Yeah, and like I said before, I'm sure like he definitely has legit gripes and he definitely brings up legit points like when he speaks up on a lot of these things. But like I said, just his approach and the way he does it, he just does not come off well. But it goes to show you in a sense that this has kind of in a sense been CM Punk's reputation for years because like even in WWE you heard those stories about him being difficult to work with, him being an asshole, him being rude to fans and all this other jazz. And I kind of felt like when he came back last year that he changed and that maybe he had mellowed out on a lot of that stuff. But now you fast forward to 1 year later and you even saw with your own eyes at the press conference.
And the thing is, you got to remember that all that stuff that how he carried himself in WWE. That was just like you got to remember. This was like like 10 years ago, 15 years ago or whatnot. You know what I mean? And it's 15 years later. You should be older and wiser, but at the same time, age is nothing but a number. And it's just damn. You come back to wrestling a year ago. A year later, you're just what gives, and that's why I asked you the question. Do you think he's a cancer? And I kind of think he is too, man. And I don't know what's it going to take for him to realize that.
I have a bad attitude and I need to find out why I have such a bad attitude. Because I've always lived by the motto try to normalize, I'm willing to work on my issues, as opposed to just saying that's just how I am.
Yeah, yeah. That's and it. Yeah, especially when you're in a relationship, or if you want to be in a relationship, you can't be like, well, that's just how I am. Take me how I am. No, that's not going to cut it.
If you know you have like some toxic issues and some issues that negatively affect your relationships or negatively or you know where you yourself aren't behaving in the best way, you need to find out why you're behaving that way and what's leading to it and what you can do to fix it. Because if you're still having these same issues 10 years later, 15 years later, it's clear to see that the problem isn't necessarily the other person or the other scenario.
Right.
Yeah, because and I'm a fan of CM Punk. I've always been a fan of CM Punk, but you just hear these stories about him, and you hear them enough from a lot of credible people, and it's hard to deny them. Even Ric Flair, I think I told you this before. Ric Flair even said once when he was comparing CM Punk's personality to Daniel Bryan's personality, he said that everybody liked Daniel Bryan. He was a nice guy. Everybody was cool with him. But CM Punk, he said, although he personally got along fine with him, he just said that everybody else would always complain about him and all complain about how difficult he was to deal with.
Mm,
And even Vince McMahon once said, and Punk even admitted this himself, Vince McMahon once told Punk that he was more difficult to deal with than Shawn Michaels when he was on drugs.
wait, what?
Yeah, CM Punk in an interview once with Sam Roberts, he said like he was like talking about like his like whole work process and thought process, and he said that Vince McMahon
Yeah.
once told him that you're more difficult and hard to deal with than Shawn Michaels when he was on drugs, and he took that as the ultimate compliment too.
You serious?
Yeah. He said because he's straight edge, he doesn't do drugs, and he's more difficult to deal with than Shawn Michaels was.
That doesn't mean that. Oh, that doesn't mean anything.
Maybe he needs to smoke some weed.
Uh, maybe you're right.
Nah, I'm just talking shit. I respect people who don't want to
Yeah,
do
yeah,
that kind of
yeah.
stuff and don't drink and don't do any recreational drugs. I respect it. He's just a bad poster child for it in that sense, considering all these stories.
Mm.
Yeah, but it's sad, man, because he everything looks so good going into this whole run, and he did have a good run in the year he's been there, but just all this personal shit coming out, it's a bad look. And if he's that I guess toxic to the locker room, and if that many people in the locker room don't like him, then he probably shouldn't be there. Well, my friend just sent me a message saying that CM Punk is the 50 Cent of wrestling. Yeah, and yeah, I'm even watching Cobra Kai. I get a lot of CM Punk vibes from Tori, and also even Johnny Lawrence to a degree.
Mm.
I'm not sure what else is going to come out of this whole situation. I was hearing that Punk was going to get released as early as Wednesday, but no announcement has been made yet. But I'm sure we'll find out sooner or later.
Oh,
But the injury kind of maybe gave Tony Khan an out, at least for now, for not bringing him back. But I'm just not sure how long the Bucks and Kenny Omega are going to be gone for.
I don't know.
Yeah, this whole situation is just ugly, and it just brings a lot of more negative attention to AEW after they've been such a on such a hot streak ever since Cody left. Pretty much ever since Cody left, it's just been kind of not been the same.
Well, I mean, I don't want to necessarily say it got bad right after Cody left. You
It
could safely
started.
say
It
when Triple
started.
H slowly, but slowly. I mean, AEW was still like pretty much consistently good, but it's not like this. I could say that it started to go really downhill once Triple H was in charge.
Yeah, that's a part of it also, but losing Cody was a major loss for them. Like I don't think people realize or
I get it.
understand how big of a loss Cody was, and he's
Uh,
proved it ever since he came back to WWE.
yeah, despite him getting hurt, but
But like I said before, maybe he saw a lot of this shit coming from probably about a year or so ago when he said, "Yo, let me get out while I still can."
mm,
Yeah, it would not surprise me even a little bit. But now they're gonna crown a new AEW champion since obviously Punk is suspended and also hurt, and that champion is gonna be crowned at the Arthur Ashe Stadium show on September 21st. Should be a stacked ass show.
mhm.
I think Moxley and Jericho is gonna be more than likely the finals in that.
Most likely, yeah.
Oh, but one thing I will give away about the new Cobra Kai season, they played Judas in My Mind in one of the episodes.
Yeah, I saw that. Yeah, I saw that on my Facebook. That's nice.
Yeah, but what wasn't so nice was the story that came out about Velveteen Dream over the weekend as EC3 opened up after the most recent story about Velveteen Dream getting arrested for possession of coke. And he mentioned how like one time he had a party at his house and he went to use the bathroom, and when he got into the bathroom he noticed there was like a camera posted by the toilet, like pretty much filming everybody, coming in and out of the bathroom and peeing in the toilet. And then he found out it was Velveteen Dream's phone that was there.
Really?
Yeah, I actually heard these stories a couple years ago about him like filming people without their consent, and that was one of the reasons, other than the allegations, why people didn't like him. And then EC3 came out
Mm.
the other day and admitted that that shit actually happened at his house. Yeah, yeah. I don't think that dude's gonna get hired anywhere else anytime soon. Yeah, and now that I think of it, now that I look at it, at the other story we were just talking about, if CM Punk ends up getting fired from AEW, I don't see him having another wrestling run ever again.
Mm.
For his WWE run to end the way it did, and now his AEW run to end the way it did, it's a bad look, man. It just shows that it's gonna make people less willing to do business with you and less willing to work with you because of having that kind of reputation.
Mm. Stuff that you get into outside the ring, man. You can't stay out of trouble.
But back to WWE's most recent product, we had definitely had Raw on Monday, and one of the highlights of Raw was the return of Braun Strowman.
Yeah, we knew that there was going to be a report that he was going to come back, and it finally happened.
Yes, he returned last Monday on Raw and interrupted a number one contenders match for the tag team titles and pretty much laid everybody out. Although he did trip when he was doing that run outside the ring where he runs into the dude and like knocks him to the barricade.
And he's still in good shape.
Yeah, he's in great shape.
Yeah.
He's in even better shape than he was when he left. But it's funny, he was posting about that control your narrative promotion he was involved in, talking about how they have more money than AEW and how it's the place to be. And now he's in WWE again.
So we're hoping that his second run will be different, be better than his first run.
He's supposed to be on SmackDown tonight. I'm gonna catch that actually right when we get off. So we'll see how that turns out. And also, speaking of SmackDown, Pat McAfee is going to be gone from the SmackDown announce team for temporarily, as he was picked recently to host College Game Day for the NCAA.
Yeah, I'm happy. I'm so happy to hear that, man. I watch. Well, sometimes I'll catch college game day in the morning. I used to watch a lot growing up, though, but not as much because it's so early in the morning, though. But it's a damn good show, and I'm happy he's gotten that opportunity. Happy for him.
Yeah, he's great. I mean, he'll be missed on SmackDown for the time he's gone, but
Yeah,
he'll be back once the season's over,
yeah,
so it's only
yeah.
temporary.
So it'll be like by December he'll be back.
Yeah, good look for him. And also, it was reported that the Royal Rumble coming up in January will be taking place at the Alamo Dome in San Antonio.
Yes, 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 yes.
And this will also take place on a Saturday night, as it will happen on January 28th.
Oh.
Yeah, San Antonio is like the hot spot for the Royal Rumble. This is going to be like the fourth one they've had there.
Yeah, 97, oh 07, 17. Oh, yeah. Wow. I just love that 2017 show. Ooh, it was, geez, oh, it was an
It was a
amazing
great
show.
show.
Yeah.
And also last week, Triple H did an interview, based like pretty much his longest interview since he took over the creative. And one of the things he got into was like the Wednesday night war between NXT and AEW, and he basically said, "Oh, they beat our developmental show. Good for them." Basically, yeah, basically just saying that they're not worried about AEW. They're doing their own thing and all
Good,
that other jazz.
good,
But it's funny though. Like he calls NXT the developmental brand, but like a few years ago he was talking about how it's pretty much the third brand now, and how it was no longer the developmental league. But now it's a developmental league from what they turned it into in the last year or so. But it's funny how he says that now, like after they ended up beating them.
mm, mm.
And Jericho did an interview and he responded by saying this: NXT sucks. We don't care about WWE. My boss has a lot more money than his boss does. A lot more.
Okay. uh,
It's just funny though because he'll talk. Jericho will talk about how like they don't care about WWE, but yet they mention WWE all the freaking time.
I know. That's what I'm saying, man. Actually, I mean,
Even in MJF's promo on Dynamite on Wednesday, he mentioned Nick Khan. He mentioned Triple H. You mentioned best for business also, the best for business freaking slogan. Yeah, it was dope. Don't get me wrong. I don't hate on it, but you're going to tell me you don't care about WWE at all when you guys always mention them nonstop. Hell, even in freaking the Acclaim's raps, they also have WWE references.
see what I mean? Is I just don't like that, man. If you can't be denying stuff like that, like you can't be both, you can't be double minded like that.
Yeah, it is what it is, but Triple H also did talk about Sasha Banks about like whether or not she'll be back soon, and he mentioned how like she's becoming like such a big star now, like outside of wrestling, and she has a lot of interest. So he basically said to that, "Stay tuned."
Hey, she'll be back here before we know it. So
I saw Sasha and Naomi were actually at New York Fashion Week. They were walking on the runway.
nice.
Oh yeah, they were also at a Yankees game also the other day with Titus O'Neil and Bailey.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Also, and one more story, Road Dogg was doing an interview recently, and he was basically talking about how WWE basically sabotaged Rusev on purpose during his run. Basically, Road Dogg admitted that they only built up Rusev for that 1 year period where he was undefeated, just so he could eventually lose to John Cena.
Hmm. Hmm.
They did that shit 2 years in a row.
You think about it, kind of did the same thing for Umaga. If you think about it.
Nah, but I'm just saying, like two straight WrestleManias. They had like one dude they'd been building up for a year who had a lot of momentum, who you thought was gonna really go places, and then they
Hmm.
lose to Cena at WrestleMania, and they just never got that same momentum back.
Uh,
Or when it looked like they were about to get it back, they sabotaged them again.
gotcha.
With like Rusev with the Rusev Day stuff, because even Rusev even admitted that like Vince would tell him to stop encouraging it and like don't fall for them cheering for it. They're just messing with you. And he's like
Mhm.
saying, so why is my shirt selling the most in the merchandise sales if they're just messing with me? Another red flag on Vince.
Well, it's okay now. See what happens. Vince is gone, and now Rusev is with AEW now.
Yeah, but what a weak strategy though. Build up somebody for a year to have them that unstoppable, and then just so you could have them lose to Cena, then that's it. Doesn't make any long term sense.
And after that, there was no long term plans afterwards. That's what make it that's what makes it worse.
Yeah, he had a couple of rematches with Cena after that, which were fine, and then they split him up with Lana, which was a
Hmm.
stupid idea. And then he eventually did get the U.S. title. He had a nice one with the U.S. title, and the Rusev Day stuff was great, but they didn't use it to its full potential. They definitely dropped the ball with that shit, and yeah, it was just never the same. But now he's in AEW. He's doing all right. He had a good run as the TNT champion, but like I said before, man, that roster's just so freaking stacked and saturated. Like it's hard to keep up with everybody, and like a lot of people you won't see for like weeks and sometimes even months at a time. All right, bro. I think we said what we needed to say tonight. You got anything else you want to add?
Oh no, not much, man. You're gonna find out. Well, I don't want to spoil it for SmackDown, though. But SmackDown should be a great episode. I'm gonna watch Cobra Kai, and I'm just looking forward to what more wrestling news we got in store, and also going to be on the lookout for the news about CM Punk. So, in the meantime, this is Jonathan Randall. This is my tag team partner, Kurt Cadet. Kurt, anything else?
No, just we're gonna definitely keep up with the CM Punk story. I'm sure a lot more will come out of it because honestly, that's been like the main story people have been talking about ever since it happened. So yeah, we'll keep up on that. Enjoy the shit out of Cobra Kai because it was a damn good season. And I'll say this much: I look forward to new seasons of Cobra Kai like I look forward to WrestleMania.
Got you.
All right. With that being said, I'm gonna probably rewatch it again right now. So hope you guys enjoy, and it's been real. See you guys next week.
All right, take care.
Have a good one.